Something interesting has happened with AI recently, and I don't mean those obviously AI'd Christmas commercials that Coca-Cola and McDonald's try to pass off as real. Like, imagine what kind of creatively bankrupt idiot you have to be to claim that you actually made this. No. What we're talking about today is the recent trend of people using Grok on Twitter to take perfectly normal images of attractive women and make them naked or sexualized somehow. Like, check this out. Here's a completely normal Twitter post. This girl posts 2 pictures of herself at age 20 versus 25. Nothing wrong here at all. Now, why does this normie account have 8 million views on a completely regular post? Well, because somebody asked Grok, the AI chatbot on Twitter, to put her in a bikini, and Grok did exactly that, generating a completely realistic image of her in beachwear. By the way, most of the images floating around online regarding this story are censored, though not because they're explicit. Swimsuits aren't inherently sexual, and they don't need censoring under normal circumstances. Rather, because the people involved didn't actually consent to these images being made, everywhere this stuff is being reposted, like Know Your Meme or whatever, has been censoring them. Just so you're aware, I have seen the originals of most of these images, and for example, she's not actually naked here. It is absolutely her in a bikini. The point is though, this is just a normal young woman who's just posting life pics of herself on Twitter, and she went viral because somebody decided to put her in a bikini against her will. Now, like I said, swimwear isn't automatically sexual, but it certainly can be given the right context, and you and I both know exactly what this dude is doing. This trend has taken several forms beyond just put her in a bikini. For example, a common one is where someone asks Grok to take a girl's selfie and then have her stick her tongue out and put drippy glue all over her face. They specifically ask for drippy glue because that command generates the desired result without them saying give her a cum shot. Probably the most extensive series I've found so far is derived from this image of the white nationalist creator Brittany Venti, who's holding a Hitler book at a bookstore, and then a whole bunch of accounts, mainly ones aligned with her politically, had Grok incrementally make the photo more demented over time. First by putting her in a MAGA hat and a Confederate bikini, then by making her pregnant with Nazi tattoos, and then topping it off by having Hitler be the father. Okay. As much as I want to make edgy jokes about this, we all know this is fucked up, right? Like, these girls didn't consent to this. They didn't take these pictures. These aren't their lewds. And yet, Grok is out here generating them in these poses or with expressions that they never actually did. Now, just to cover all of our bases, let's steal me on the other side of this. As I said, these aren't their lewds. They didn't actually pose for these images. These girls weren't coerced, so you can't really call this leaked nudes or revenge porn or whatever. It's true they didn't give their consent, but do you actually have exclusive right to how your image is used in all situations? Obviously not. Like, for example, if I'm walking down the street and I end up in the background of somebody's photo, I might not have consented, but it would certainly be unreasonable of me to start complaining that my rights were violated or something. The steal, man, is these aren't actually pictures of these women. And after you put something on the internet, it's on the internet forever, so you can't really complain.
If you don't want your pictures posted like that, then don't post pictures on the internet. Like, I'm old enough to remember back in the day, whenever, if you wanted to post something on the internet, you were always told never post shit and pictures of yourself on the internet because weirdos can get them and do stuff with them. This was something that we were told in like 2005. And now we're supposed to forget this, and now everybody else has to control themselves, and we're going to bully people around for it.
Now, I don't agree with this steal, man. What Asmongold is saying here is true, but in the context of don't post your nudes online, not don't post completely fucking normal pictures online because someone might make AI-generated porn out of them. That shit didn't exist in 2005. However, I have seen this take everywhere right now, even if it is ultimately wrong. You know, as we go back and forth on this, I'm reminded of that video that I did a few years back regarding the whole HYUK deepfake drama. Remember that whole shit show? Back in early 2023, the Twitch streamer HYUK accidentally leaked his open browser tabs, and it turns out he was on a site that generates deepfake pornography. Now, a deepfake isn't actually a fully AI image or video. Rather, it's a real photo or video with somebody else's face superimposed onto it. Generally, the subject of the image or video is chosen because he actually looks like the target of the deepfake, which helps make the face switch as realistic as possible. Now, it turned out that HYUK was looking at deepfaked pornography of other Twitch streamers, including Pokimane, Sweet Anita, and Cutie Cinderella. They were all understandably upset to learn that not only a website existed out there where deepfake pornography was being made of them, but also that one of their friends was using it.
HYUK for showing it to thousands of people. The people DMing me pictures of myself from that website. You all, if you are able to look at that, you are the problem. You see women as an object. It should not be part of my job to be harassed, to see pictures of me nude spread around. It should not be something that is found on the internet. It shouldn't be. That shouldn't be a part of my job. And the person that made that website, I'm going to sue you. I promise you.
Completely justified crash out if you ask me. However, when I discussed this story 3 years ago, the conclusion I came to was that even if it's not really the same thing as leaked nudes or leaked porn or whatever, because even if it is, say, QT's face, it's not her body. Nonetheless, there's still something wrong with this. If not legally, then morally. We may not have had precise language to describe what's going on here, because modern technology has been quickly creating new types of wrong, but we all still intuitively felt that it was wrong somehow. Nobody was seriously arguing that HYUK was totally morally in the clear for all this. This new wave of AI lewds kind of feels like the same type of thing. It's true that when you look at these pictures, you're not actually seeing these women naked. You're not actually seeing them make a lewd face or pose for the camera or whatever, so fair enough. But there's still something wrong here, given that they didn't give their consent and they're also quite angry about it. Or at least some of them are. Others are seeing dollar signs. For example, some e-girls are specifically playing into the story, baiting people into using Grok on their selfies in order to drive more attention to their accounts. And while a whole lot of guys were more than happy to take them up on the offer, a few trolls began to respond to this new trend by asking Grok to cover the women up. This actually spawned a whole ass gimmick account called Clothes on the Hose, where e-girls who do actually post their own lewd images have had them edited to be completely non-sexual by Grok prompts. Like this one, where she was changed into normal everyday clothing and given a Bible to hold. Or this one, where her sexy maid outfit was swapped with a stable home life. Like, okay, this is kind of funny. And yeah, same with the people who are doing it to men. This stuff is still bad, but it's not taken as seriously because it's pretty clearly being used for comedy. And there's probably not some secret Gooner motivations here. Probably. But in case you think we're enjoying a lighthearted topic here or something, allow me to pop that bubble for you real quick. Twitter users began to ask Grok to create sexualized images of children. Not full-on AI child porn, as far as I could tell. No nudity, no penetration, but clearly AI-generated images of kids in sexual situations, or being touched by adults. One woman, an adult who had already been the target of an AI-generated lewd image involving Trump and P. Diddy, after she spoke out about this, a Twitter user actually asked Grok to down-age her into a child and make CP out of her. And when she complained about it, another dude showed up to say, "You're an internet whore. Why are you objecting?" My brother in Christ, even prostitutes and porn stars should be objecting to fucking CP. Grok was actually able to cite the specific law that the creation of these images had violated, the 2025 Enforce Act, which made AI-generated child sexual assault material illegal. But nonetheless, Grok still admitted to generating those images upon request, and also admitted it had no safeguards in place to prevent it from violating the law. I gotta know how you feel, this is fucking insane. Again, I know no actual child was harmed. And yes, there is a super debate bro conversation you can have regarding AI-generated CP. But at the end of the day, Grok was asked to do something that it knew was illegal under current law, and it still did it. That's a problem, one which Twitter claims to now be solving, so let's hope. Of course, the real problem here are the people using the tool, not the tool itself. As long as they're still trying to fix the issue, punishing Twitter for this would be like punishing Photoshop because somebody used the program to convincingly remove clothing from a subject. That just doesn't make sense to me. But okay, all dark, absurd humor aside here, this brings us to the core of the conversation. Even if these images aren't actually of the people in question, this ability of AI to generate realistic depictions of them in sexual situations obviously crosses a boundary that intuitively most of us feel is there, even if the actual person themselves isn't directly being harmed. Here's something that was happening at the same time that kind of shows what I mean. In one of the many articles covering this topic, the story of yet another streamer, Evie, was presented. In many ways, this was the same as everything else we've heard before. Grok generating nudes of this woman at a user's request. But then I noticed something else. Grok was also asked to write a story where the user aggressively rapes, beats, and murders Evie, making it as graphic as possible. Now let's be clear, that's incredibly dark and fucked up. But equally clear, if you go onto some dark fetish fanfic websites, you can absolutely find people writing their own stories about brutalizing women, or about celebrities or e-girls. All this stuff. But this time it's written by an individual, specifically for fetish reasons. And even though I find it fucked up, as would most normal people, when it comes to people's private sexual fantasies, I generally like to err on the side of, as long as they're not actually hurting somebody, they should be left alone to create what they want to create. And if you don't like that kind of content, then don't consume it. Hell, I did a whole last 4.5-hour video essay on that exact topic during the No Mercy drama from last summer. But the point is, when it comes to specifically the written word, I feel like there should be broad leeway with regards to how people utilize their free speech rights. Even if that means you get a bunch of horny, fucked up weirdos writing disgusting fanfics with the e-girls they fantasize about. As long as that doesn't cross over into real world behaviors, obviously. It's weird, but the subject isn't actually being hurt. And if we're allowing people to write these stories themselves, then surely Grok generating them is no more infringing, right? For me personally, when it crosses from the written word to images or videos, that is when a much stronger boundary is also crossed. Because soon enough, these things will be completely indistinguishable from real life. Writing a fanfic about your favorite e-girl getting gangbanged until she turns inside out is one thing, but generating a perfectly realistic video of it happening is on a whole other level. Nobody's getting fooled by a wall of text, but a lot of people get fooled by deepfakes, and that is ultimately the problem here. This all reminds me of those Star Trek episodes, where individuals would create fantasy versions of people they know, and then act out various scenarios. Even if those are intended to be just the private fantasies of the individual creator, the fact that they're simulated rather than just imagination changes the game, at least for me. It crosses over from fantasy to actually stripping the target of agency on some level. And that is ultimately the problem here. The fact that these women, many of whom don't do porn, are now seeing the distribution of faked yet still credible porn of themselves on the internet. If we go all the way back to the first example of this at the start of the video, a common reply she received under her very normal photos and her very reasonable question of why is Twitter allowing this was guys basically saying, fuck you, take it. This is the internet. We'll do what we want, and your entire existence is an exploitation of the male gaze anyway. The real issue isn't actually about pornography, it's about control. Whether somebody chooses to cover up and dress modestly, or chooses to get naked and do porn, they are in control of what parts of themselves they want to present to the world. When somebody starts making AI porn out of the images of a modest woman, or man, who would never actually do such a thing in real life, and yes, when somebody also starts to use AI to put clothing onto women who are actually going around naked as well, in both cases, what's actually being lost is control. The people who are generating these images are saying, you don't have any agency over how you look. I do. And I think that's what these women are ultimately protesting against, even if some of them might not completely know it. And you know what? They're correct to do so. And if for some reason you think I'm wrong here or I'm coping or something, nah dude, I'm completely right. Control is the motivator here. For example, there's a reason that OnlyFans leaks drive attention, or that OnlyFans girls occasionally brand a shoot as being leaked, so I might as well sell it anyway, even if it's not actually leaked. It's because there's a very real desire to get a hold of what you're normally not allowed to see, both sexually and non-sexually. If it were simply about wanting to see porn, well, you know what? The internet's full of free porn. Go watch some of that. But it's not actually about the porn itself. It's about gaining access to something that you weren't supposed to. It makes you feel transgressive, like it's a secret, even special sometimes. In a strange way, it's the same type of feeling as when you're in a serious relationship with a non-promiscuous girl, and you do finally start getting sexual. It's like, this is only for me and for her. Nobody else gets to have this. This is outside of the normal set of experiences that everyone else gets to have with this girl, but I'm having it with her. That sort of thing is special, at least in my books. And the ability to just ask Grok to take the clothes off of anyone is a cheap and morally disgusting shortcut, frankly. This is why I personally think most people who are doing this are probably actually just lonely guys who find it impossible to get themselves into a position where they can experience the real thing, so they end up resorting to this facsimile. In taking the control away from random attractive women online, maybe they feel like the sting of their own failures is temporarily alleviated. But this behavior is ultimately just destructive, not just to the woman, but the guys doing it as well. You are not going to find what you're looking for here. It's just that simple. But hey, at least we got to see Elon Musk in a bikini. Don't worry, he's totally okay with it. If this reaction isn't consent, then I don't know what is.